Who would have thought that after 8 years of marriage, I would witness my husband and his childhood sweetheart having sex on my daughter's bed? My daughter, having an asthma attack, was left in the sink. I knelt and begged, only to be locked out in a hailstorm. My daughter died, and my heart died with her. I divorced him. But then my ex-husband frantically begged for me back, only to find I had become a popular baker, with a younger man pursuing me. Who could resist reading the soap opera drama to the end? After 8 years of marriage, I had only given David Harrington one daughter. He still loved me as much as ever. Everyone in our circle said I was happy, and I believed it too. But then I saw David Harrington and his childhood sweetheart having sex on our daughter Lily's crib. Our little daughter had been tossed into the sink, her face blue and purple. I knelt in despair and begged, "She's having an asthma attack, we need to get her to the hospital immediately." David Harrington looked at me with utter disgust. "Sarah, do you have to be such a buzzkill? It's just an asthma attack. Half an hour won't kill her." To punish me, he locked my daughter and me outside the estate in a hailstorm. In the end, I could only watch as my daughter grew colder and colder in my arms. David Harrington sneered, "A baker like you really thought having a Harrington child meant you could marry into wealth." 3 days later, I called Grandfather Harrington and agreed to the deal, leaving with nothing but the clothes on my back. David Harrington, however, went crazy, kneeling and begging me not to leave. Watching my daughter undergo CPR 99 times on the operating table, without a single sign of waking up. 7 of her ribs were broken from the resuscitation attempts. My heart felt like it was being twisted. The doctor's accusatory words rang in my ears. "What kind of mother are you? Your child had an asthma attack, and you didn't rush her to the hospital. Al? Where is her father?" Hearing that, I trembled all over. My body shook uncontrollably, and tears streamed down my face. Just then, a familiar voice came from outside. "Jessica, why didn't you tell me your stomach hurt sooner?" "David, I just didn't want to bother you." David Harrington looked at Jessica Lewis with tender eyes. "Jessica, from now on, your problems are my problems. Don't ever just endure it when you're uncomfortable, or I'll worry." "Okay." My heart plummeted instantly. My husband was flirting with another woman, completely neglecting his own daughter, who was fighting for her life, all because that woman merely had a stomach ache. Just like that, separated by a wall. I was on the verge of collapsing from grief over my daughter's death, while her father was laughing and talking with his childhood sweetheart in the next room. Even then, I still held on to a glimmer of hope. Would David Harrington feel sad if he knew about Lily's death? Perhaps this was the consequence of a mismatch in social class, but why did it have to be visited upon the child? Just a month ago, David Harrington would make 3 meals a day for me and Lily with his own hands. He took care of us tirelessly, canceling all his business commitments, until one day, his childhood sweetheart asked to see him. Everything changed after that. From then on, David Harrington couldn't stop talking about Jessica Lewis. "Sarah, Jessica's family went bankrupt. Now she has nowhere to go, so I plan to let her stay with us for a while. Go ahead and prepare a room for Jessica. I'm sure you won't mind. I just think of Jessica as a sister." David Harrington's words sent a shiver through me. Looking at the man in front of me, I felt like I was seeing a stranger for the first time. Just as I was about to question him, David Harrington continued, "You don't need to prepare it. I'll do it myself right now to make sure Jessica is comfortable." He even instructed the servants to treat Jessica with the same respect they showed him, telling them not to be opportunistic. Seeing me staring at him, David Harrington looked away, guilt evident in his eyes. "Sarah, I was just thinking you might be bored staying home alone, so I brought you some company." "Don't overthink it. David, have you forgotten? I like being alone." "You." Before I could finish, David Harrington happily left to greet Jessica Lewis. My thoughts snapped back to the present, and I smiled bitterly. Guided by the nurse, I successfully had my daughter cremated. Holding the small urn, I took a taxi back to the Harrington estate. When David Harrington saw me return, he looked at me with a mocking expression. "Sarah, where have you been? Look at Jessica, she's more responsible than you are as a mother. She made a huge feast especially for Lily. Oh, right, is Lily okay at the hospital? Looking at the man in front of me, I was filled with disappointment, my voice turning hysterical. David Harrington, Lily is dead. You killed her. She's right here in this little box. Do you want to see? Saying that, I held out the small urn in my hand to David Harrington. Hearing my words, David Harrington instantly flew into a rage. With a swipe of his hand, he knocked Lily's urn to the ground, scattering the ashes everywhere. Sarah, what nonsense are you talking? You're unbelievable, Lily is perfectly fine, and you're cursing her to death. Truly, someone from a small family just can't fit in with society. As he said this, David Harrington immediately covered his mouth. My heart sank, and I looked up at him in disbelief, but the disgust in his eyes was unmistakable. At that moment, my heart ached incessantly. Before, whenever I felt insecure about my past running a small bakery, David Harrington would always say that all professions were equal and tell me not to worry. For those wealthy women who looked down on me, David Harrington would arrange for their families' calm pains to be intentionally suppressed to stand up for me. But how could a person change so much? In just 1 month, he spoke to me harshly and turned around to love Jessica Lewis, who had bullied me. With red eyes, I said numbly, whether you believe it or not, Lily is gone from the asthma attack. David Harrington stood frozen. Then he regained his composure and said with a sneer, Sarah, you're truly glib. You just want me to kick Jessica out. When did you become so vicious? Jessica's family went bankrupt. She has nowhere to live. We're childhood sweethearts. What's wrong with helping her out? I didn't respond, my heart dead. I picked up Lily's ashes, handful by handful, putting them back into the little box, and then stumbled into the master bedroom, only to find the furnishings had changed. My wedding photo with David Harrington had been taken down and replaced by an artistic nude photo of Jessica. David Harrington spoke when he saw this. Sarah, this is an artistic photo Jessica had taken. The old wedding photo didn't quite match the room's decor. You don't mind, do you? Looking at the shattered wedding photo lying on the floor, my heart broke. Sarah, Jessica just broke it accidentally. We can always take new wedding photos later. I murmured, no, David Harrington, we won't have the chance later. That night, I slept in the guest room, watching the bedroom surveillance footage on my phone, unable to sleep for a long time. 2 people having sex in the bed. Jessica Lewis even deliberately gave a thumbs up to the camera. David, is this really okay? What if we mess up the sheets? What if Sarah gets angry tomorrow? David Harrington said indifferently, what's not okay about it? Sarah went too far this time, using Lily's death to make a fuss. She doesn't even have to clean the sheets, Mrs. Miller does. What does she have to be angry about? Jessica Lewis smiled triumphantly, then rested her head on David Harrington's chest. I don't know how I finally fell asleep. The next morning, I quietly held a small funeral for my daughter at home. Because she was a girl, no one in the Harrington family valued her. Lily loved David Harrington the most when she was alive, but her father was being intimate with another woman. David Harrington saw the offerings I had placed and frowned severely. Sarah, you are truly shameless. I just let Jessica stay at our house for a while, and you're deliberately saying Lily is dead to get my attention. Jessica Lewis said with manipulative words. Oh my goodness, Sarah, David just said a few words to you. How could you joke about a child's life? I ignored their mockery and paid my respects to the small memorial tablet. This only angered David Harrington. David Harrington's face turned dark, and his gaze towards me was cold. Sarah, my Harrington child is not that fragile. It's just a minor asthma attack. From today on, I'll have Mr. Davis take Lily to go through the family trial, to fulfill her duty of a Harrington heir. Every Harrington heir would go through the family trial at the age of 3, hiding their identity and background, given only $100, and required to turn it into 10 times in 3 days. Due to my repeated pleas, Lily hadn't gone through the trial even though she was now 4 years old. Because of this, the Harrington family was quite critical of me. But Lily was already dead. Whether David Harrington believed it or not, the fact wouldn't change. I silently said to myself, Lily, I'm sorry, but Mom is going to divorce Dad now. Just then, Jessica Lewis suddenly leaned into my ear, smiling viciously. Sarah, I know your daughter is dead, because I was the one who deliberately triggered her asthma attack. You don't have a child, let's see what you can use to fight me with now. Hearing this, my mind went blank, and I couldn't hear anything else. I went insane, rushing over to Jessica Lewis and grabbing her by the throat. Ordered, Jessica Lewis. You can come after me, but why did you target my Lily? I'm going to kill you. Seeing this, David Harrington angrily pulled me away and slapped me. Sarah, what are you doing, going crazy like this? Because I was unprepared for David Harrington, I was directly knocked to the ground by his slap, my head hitting the steps hard. Instantly, blood gushed out. The pain made my whole body tremble uncontrollably. David Harrington protectively held Jessica Lewis in his arms, looking heartbroken. He looked at me with pain in his eyes. Sarah, how could you become so malicious? I used to think you were innocent and sweet, but I didn't realize you were no different from those social climbing women. I said coldly, David Harrington, let's get a divorce. I'm tired. David Harrington was stunned. He hadn't expected me to propose divorce, and his expression became hesitant. At this point, Jessica Lewis said with a wronged look, David, I think my hand was hurt by Sarah just now, and I can't lift it anymore. Wah, do you think I might become disabled? As soon as Jessica Lewis acted spoiled, David Harrington lost his mind. He pointed at me and cursed, Sarah, you are truly disgusting. I'm telling you, don't even think about leaving this door today. I'll have the butler lock you in the cold storage. You'll make her pay dearly for the harm Jessica has suffered. With that, David Harrington ordered someone to lock me in the cold storage, and my heart sank into despair. Where was the man who used to feel heartbroken even if I accidentally bit my tongue while eating? I curled up in a corner of the cold storage, weeping silently. Just then, David Harrington's older brother, Robert Harrington, suddenly appeared, drunk. Seeing me, his eyes lit up. Isn't this Sarah? What are you doing here? His large hand kept touching me, making me shiver with fright, my body trembling uncontrollably. Robert, don't be like this, David will see. And he violently tore off my clothes, making me shiver from the cold. The man's vulgar voice sounded in my ear. Sarah, why don't you help me out? The man vented his frenzy on my body, and I could only cry helplessly, praying for someone to come and save me. I couldn't bear to think what David Harrington would do if he saw this, whether he would abandon me. Just then, the door to the cold storage was suddenly slammed open from the outside. David Harrington stood in front of me with Jessica Lewis, their eyes filled with disgust. Sarah, you're truly repulsive. Can't you live without a man? Tell me, is Lily really my child? Jessica Lewis said sarcastically. Sarah, you have no self-respect. If I were you, I'd rather kill myself right now. Seeing that I didn't speak, David Harrington directly ordered the butler to throw me downstairs. The cold wind whistled past my face. David Harrington said coldly, Sarah, how could I have fallen for such a revolting woman like you? Butler, just throw Sarah down now. The second floor won't kill her, it'll just be a lesson for her. Jessica Lewis added fuel to the fire from the side. Sarah was really too much this time, deliberately saying Lily was dead to get your attention, and even hooking up with Robert. David Harrington looked down at me condescendingly. Sarah, do you have any shame left? I gently closed my eyes. Thinking that dying like this wouldn't be so bad, I could go be with Lily. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in a hospital, with no one beside me. Looking at the intimate photos Jessica Lewis had sent me, I completely gave up hope. Then I called Grandfather Harrington. Mr. Harrington, I agree to what you said. I will leave David Harrington. Grandfather Harrington casually looked at me, his eyes full of disdain. You can divorce, but I need you to admit on a public account that you were the one who seduced Robert. Brother fighting brother is an embarrassment for my Harrington family. It's best if you disappear forever. I agreed without hesitation, okay. Meanwhile, with David Harrington, Jessica Lewis suddenly exclaimed, pointing at her phone screen. David, quickly look at your Harrington family's public account. Sarah actually posted something like that on it. Seeing the content, David Harrington's face was extremely pale. Sarah, what is this crazy woman trying to do? Just then, Grandfather Harrington suddenly appeared with divorce papers, using his cane to repeatedly hit David Harrington. David, I had Sarah do this. Look at the ridiculous things you've been doing lately. You're ruining the Harrington family's reputation. Sarah is dead now, and the child is also dead. Everything should return to normal. David Harrington shook his head in disbelief. Impossible, impossible. Lily just had an asthma attack. How could she die? It wasn't until the staff handling the cremation appeared and revealed the truth. Mr. Harrington, we've identified the ashes. We can confirm they belong to Miss Lily. Impossible, Lily can't be dead. She even said she wanted me to take her to Disneyland. Jessica Lewis gently comforted David Harrington from the side. David, the dead cannot return. You still have me and our child. Saying this, she pulled David Harrington's hand to her belly. David Harrington froze. Jessica Lewis smiled. David, I didn't expect to get pregnant so early. The doctor said this child in my belly is a miracle. But David Harrington felt no joy, only a dull ache in his heart. With Jessica Lewis's comfort, David Harrington quickly calmed down. He even agreed to hold a wedding with her. Meanwhile, I was preparing the tofu to sell the next day. Yes, without David Harrington, I had to work for a living. At the wedding, Jessica Lewis smiled sweetly. I secretly watched them, a seemingly perfect couple, from below the stage, and gave a bitter smile. Everyone was sincerely wishing them well. Just then, someone mentioned me. This Mrs. Harrington is so much better than the previous one. I heard the previous Mrs. Harrington was a bully. She acted like an innocent little flower around Mr. Harrington every day. Many people here had their companies suppressed because of that woman. It's good she got what she deserved. Jessica Lewis, blushing, looked expectantly at David Harrington after the officiant announced the couple's kiss. David, we're finally together. Oh, right, David, Grandfather Harrington also helped revive my family's company. Lily's soul in heaven surely wouldn't want to see you like this, saying our child should replace her. Before she could finish, David Harrington's face turned cold. Jessica Lewis! Jessica Lewis froze. It was the first time David Harrington had called her by her full name. Just as she was about to say something, David Harrington cut her off. Lily is not someone you can just replace with anyone. Jessica Lewis, remember your place. I think there's something wrong with Lily's death, and I need to cooperate with the police investigation. With that, David Harrington turned and left the wedding venue directly. Jessica Lewis's face turned very pale. She couldn't understand why David Harrington had left the wedding without her. After the wedding, Jessica Lewis found a man in black. Did you destroy all the evidence that day? I suspect David Harrington found out what I did. The man merely said faintly, Miss Lewis, you only paid me for the job itself that day, not for cleaning up afterwards. Jessica Lewis was furious. You idiot, why didn't you come to me for the money? Just then, David Harrington returned, smelling of alcohol. Terrified, Jessica Lewis quickly hid the man in black in the closet, then greeted David Harrington with a look of grievance. David, you're finally back. You don't know how people looked at me after you left. Wah, I feel like I'm going to have a depression attack, David. B. UT David Harrington wasn't falling for her act anymore. He grabbed her by the throat like a madman. Jessica Lewis, you deserve to die. It's all because of you. You deliberately lured Robert to bully Sarah. You're also responsible for Lily's death. I'm going to kill you. David Harrington's heart was full of darkness. If Sarah had truly seduced Robert Harrington, he might have had a chance to keep Sarah by his side to atone. But as the truth was revealed, he felt utterly powerless. Sarah wasn't a bully at all, Jessica Lewis was. He had done so many awful things to Sarah during this time. If it hadn't been for Jessica Lewis's appearance, he would probably still be a happy family of 3 with Sarah and their child. Why did fate separate him from the woman he loved by life and death? Jessica Lewis struggled desperately. David Harrington, you're a lunatic. I'm not wrong, you are. You were already married, enjoying the company of your wife and daughter, yet you were still having an affair with me. David Harrington was in agony and released his grip on Jessica Lewis's throat. That's not true, the one I love is Sarah. I just wanted to teach her a lesson, to stop being so fragile. After I left David Harrington, relying on running a small bakery, and thanks to my beauty, I became a well-known baker, even attracting reporters for interviews. David Harrington stared blankly at the person on the television screen. Jessica Lewis and the man in black were tied up next to him. Now that she was discovered, Jessica Lewis stopped pretending. David Harrington, you don't love Sarah at all. If you really loved Sarah, where would I fit in? Nonsense, Sarah and I were love at first sight. How could I not love her? Because of Grandfather Harrington's warning, David Harrington didn't dare to harm Jessica Lewis, only saying coldly, Jessica Lewis, you'd better pray you can give the Harrington family an heir, otherwise I'll be the first to make you pay dearly. With that, David Harrington rushed to the bakery stand where they first met. Sarah, Sarah, I've come for you. I know you're not dead, I've come to take you home. But he found the stand had turned into a fruit stand. He acted like he was having a breakdown, grabbing the fruit vendor's arm and pinning him to the ground. Quickly tell me, where did the bakery stand that used to be here go? Please tell me, where did she go? We're husband and wife. The fruit vendor was scared by David Harrington's sudden actions and quickly called for help from fellow vendors nearby. Ah, someone help me. This guy is crazy. In the end, it was Grandfather Harrington, who had been keeping an eye on David Harrington, who intervened, giving the vendor some cash to calm the situation. David Harrington looked at Grandfather Harrington with pleading eyes. Grandfather, just tell me, where did Sarah go? I saw her being interviewed on TV, I know she's not dead. Seeing David Harrington in this state, Grandfather Harrington finally told him the truth. David, I did deceive you. Sarah is not dead, but a woman like her will never enter my Harrington family's door. I can tell you Sarah's location, but after that, you must cut off all contact with her and focus on being the group heir. Okay. Looking at the small apartment, David Harrington felt relieved. He knew Sarah wouldn't abandon him. David Harrington excitedly rushed into the apartment. Sarah, I've come to take you home. I looked at David Harrington very calmly. David Harrington, why are you still bothering me? Because of you, I lost my Lily. I already stepped aside to let you and Jessica Lewis be together. David Harrington didn't understand why I wouldn't forgive him. Sarah, I know you can't accept Lily's death. We can have another child in the future, and let them replace Lily. I just looked at David Harrington coldly. David Harrington, I think you should have known about the deal between Mr. H. Harrington and me before you came. I won't bother you again in the future. I've given up the position of Mrs. Harrington. Do you want me to be your mistress? No, Sarah. Will you come home with me? We'll go back and pray for Lily's soul. I won't let those Harrington family members bully you anymore. I gave a self-mocking laugh. Then I had the bodyguards hidden in the shadows come out and throw David Harrington out. In the past, I was ostracized by the wealthy women in the circle. Once or twice was okay, but as it happened more often, David Harrington became less concerned. In the end, he even said it was my problem. Seeing this, David Harrington had no choice but to leave, leaving me with a promise, Sarah, wait for me, I will definitely show you my sincerity. David Harrington returned to the Harrington estate in a sorry state, only to hear Jessica Lewis and a man's voice at the entrance. Oh, darling, I'm so ticklish. Darling, you're so bad. I'm pregnant with your child right now. My precious Jessica, don't be scared. David Harrington won't be back for a while. David Harrington's eyes were bloodshot. Robert Harrington saw David Harrington return and tried to assert his authority as the older brother, but was kicked to the ground by David Harrington. David Harrington, you piece of trash, you're even fighting your older brother now. Jessica Lewis saw the scene and tried to sneak away, but was immediately pushed against the window by David Harrington. Jessica Lewis, why are you shaking? Do you remember? Sarah fell from here that day. I want you to try it too. The second floor won't kill you, at most it'll just cause you to miscarry. David Harrington, you can't do this to me. Jessica Lewis broke down. David Harrington, you were the one who forced Sarah to jump from here. I didn't do anything. Do you remember? We grew up together. You said you would protect me. David Harrington sneered, then threw Jessica Lewis downstairs. J.E. Psycho Lewis was not as lucky as me. She landed on the spiked platform on the first floor, and her abdomen was directly impaled. The entire platform was covered in Jessica Lewis's blood. Seeing this scene, David Harrington laughed happily. Great, Sarah will definitely forgive me when she sees Jessica Lewis this. Grandfather Harrington was furious when he learned of David Harrington's actions. David Harrington, you rebellious son. Harrington Industries will be ruined by you sooner or later. How could you harm our Harrington family's bloodline? I see you've been bewitched by that woman Jessica Lewis. Mrs. Miller, the housekeeper I was close to, told me about this, and I just smiled. The Harrington family is truly disgusting. That evening, David Harrington excitedly rushed to the small apartment to boast to me, but I wasn't there. I had only gone there to retrieve something. Not long after, it was time for the annual industry gala hosted by the top 50 companies in the country. Because my reputation as a baker had recently become very popular, I was also invited. When David Harrington saw me, he was extremely agitated. Sarah, we finally meet again. I've already punished that vile woman Jessica Lewis. Will you forgive me? Looking at the video of the large hole in Jessica Lewis's abdomen, although I had heard about it beforehand, I still couldn't help but vomit. David Harrington, just give up. I will never forgive you. David Harrington looked at me with a wounded expression. Sarah, I know I was wrong. As long as you're willing to forgive me, you can do anything to me. I looked at David Harrington coldly and said, David Harrington, Jessica Lewis is still pregnant with your child, and you could do that to her? You're a terrible person. I would never be with someone like you. Sarah, the child Jessica Lewis is carrying isn't mine, that child is Robert's. This news made everyone present gasp. Oh my God, the Harrington family is REA. LOL something else. I looked at him coldly. That's your family's business, it has nothing to do with me. Saying that, I turned and left directly. Interacting with the wealthy women around me, I realized that as long as you have capability, you'll be welcomed wherever you go. In the past, I would just wait for David Harrington to stand up for me. Just then, a young man of noble bearing suddenly appeared in front of me and invited me to dance with him. Sister, you look so beautiful. Would you dance with me? I'm Alex Peterson from Peterson Holdings. Is my name awful? My parents gave it to me. I finally agreed. David Harrington panicked. Sarah, you can't dance with other men, you can only dance for me. Sarah, I'll be jealous if you do that. Sarah. I scoffed. David Harrington, we're divorced. What are you jealous of? However, what you and Jessica Lewis did will be on the front page of all the major newspapers tomorrow. David Harrington's face was full of humiliation. Then he looked at me with a nostalgic gaze and said, Sarah, as long as you're happy, you can do anything to me. Jessica Lewis's family company has been ruined by me. Sarah, I know you'll forgive me. Will you come home with me? Lily's soul in heaven definitely wouldn't want to see her mom and dad like this. I looked at David Harrington coldly. I said coldly, David Harrington, don't mention Lily again. You killed her. I would never get back together with someone like you. Then I deliberately changed the subject. Unless you give me all the properties under your name, all of the Harrington family's assets. Hearing this, David Harrington acted as if he had found a lifeline. He quickly said, Sarah, what do you want? I can give you anything, as long as you don't leave me. I can even give you my life, Sarah. David Harrington looked at me with red eyes. In the past, I would always soften when I saw him like this, but I just scoffed. Words mean nothing. W. Had if you go back on your word later? Unless you go back and draft the contract now, I won't believe you." Seeing this, David Harrington immediately held out his hand and swore to me, "Sarah, don't worry, I always keep my word. I'll have the butler draft the contract for me right now." Alex Peterson suddenly laughed from the side. "Sister, you're so amazing. I knew you wouldn't get together with that old man." Looking at the young man in front of me, I couldn't recall which family he belonged to, but I had my bodyguard escort him. The next day, David Harrington arrived with the contract. He looked completely disheveled, unshaven, and gazed at me with a hopeful expression. "Sarah, I've had the contract drafted. I miss you so much, Sarah. When will you forgive me?" I scoffed. Then I directly had the bodyguard forcibly escort him out. David Harrington stood outside my neighborhood every day, rain or shine, never missing a day. But this didn't affect me. Days passed like this. One day, it suddenly started hailing, and I was immediately reminded of the day Lily lost her warmth in my arms. I went downstairs, only to find David Harrington lying on the ground, his breathing weak. Seeing me come out, David Harrington struggled to smile at me. "Sarah, you finally came out to see me." "Sarah, I know I was wrong. Now I can understand everything you and Lily went through that day. Sarah, could you hold me? I miss you so much." Just then, Jessica Lewis suddenly appeared. She looked at me with a malicious expression. "Sarah, why are you still alive? My life is completely ruined because of you." "Sarah, you can go to hell with me." Saying that, she aimed a knife at me. Before she could do anything, David Harrington pushed me aside. He was stabbed instead. David Harrington looked at me with a look of apology. "Sarah, this all started because of me. Let me end it." Seeing that she had injured David Harrington, Jessica Lewis kept mumbling, "I didn't mean to. I didn't expect to hurt you. I originally planned to stab Sarah to death. David, believe me, okay? I know, I was forced by your dad. Getting pregnant with that child wasn't my intention." Finally, David Harrington was urgently sent to the hospital. Alex Peterson, whom I had met that day, suddenly appeared before me. "Hello, sister, we meet again. I didn't expect us to have such a connection. Oh dear, how did this old man get hurt?" In the hospital room, David Harrington looked at me with a wronged expression. "Sarah, the doctor said my wound can't get wet, and someone needs to be by my side to take care of me. Could you stay and keep me company?" "Sarah, don't worry, I won't force you." Alex Peterson stood in front of me, his mouth chattering incessantly. "Old man, sister doesn't want to see you. Aren't you the CEO of Harrington Industries? Can't you even afford a nurse? Do you need me, the young master, to help you out?" David Harrington's face turned black. He looked at me awkwardly. "Sarah, look at him bullying me, a patient. It's too much." I looked at David Harrington coldly. "David Harrington, don't think that taking a knife for me means I have to forgive you. The pain you caused me in the past won't heal." The light in David Harrington's eyes instantly dimmed. "Sarah, please don't leave me. I know I was wrong now. Can we start over? Have you forgotten? We were love at first sight. As long as you're willing to come back to me, I'll do anything." David Harrington knelt before me, hugging my legs, begging bitterly. "Sarah, I beg you, give me another chance. I swear on the rest of my life. Sarah, I know I'm a terrible person. I hurt you and Lily. Sarah, I really can't live without you." I cruelly ground the sole of my high heel into David Harrington's fingers. "David Harrington, we can't go back. Don't you dare mention Lily again. You don't deserve to be her father. David Harrington, you were the one who changed first." Hearing my words, David Harrington allowed the nurse to drag him onto the bed, sitting on the hospital bed completely dejected. 2 weeks later, I successfully took over Harrington Industries and renamed it, naming it Meridian Group. Under my management, Meridian Group grew stronger day by day, becoming one of the top 10 companies in the country in just a few months. Since that day, I never saw David Harrington again. As for Jessica Lewis, she became an outcast of the Lewis family, married off by her father to a nouveau riche in an attempt to revive their family business. Within a year, the nouveau riche lost all his wealth. He sold Jessica Lewis to human traffickers. Later, some people saw Jessica Lewis become a mistress and get publicly shamed by the wife on the street. But none of that mattered to me anymore. Grandfather Harrington and Robert Harrington, who were once high and mighty, offended many people. They were directly charged with rape and taken to court. It turned out that during their time in power, Grandfather Harrington and his father had exploited young girls using their positions. This could be considered retribution. As for me, I was thriving. I often visited children's homes to see the unfortunate children. Some people suggested I adopt a girl from a children's home to help me move on from my grief faster, but I refused outright. That wouldn't be fair to another girl. She wouldn't want to be someone else's replacement. In a daze, I saw my Lily. She was standing in the sunlight, waving at me. Mommy. Before I knew it, tears were streaming down my face. I choked out to Lily. Lily, I'm sorry. If only I had gone to the hospital sooner. Mommy misses you so much. Lily smiled at me. Mommy, I don't blame you. It was those bad people's fault. I just hope you can move on from my death quickly. Lily is in a better place now. Perhaps because Lily had said goodbye to me, my mindset improved significantly. Alex Peterson also bothered me every day. I knew about his feelings for me and had rejected him countless times. Alex Peterson, you know you just turned 18. I'm 12 years older than you. There's no way for us to be together. But Alex Peterson was persistent. Sister, how would you know there's no way for us if you don't try? I really like you. I heard about David Harrington again 2 years later. I heard that under his mother's threat of suicide, he remarried. Then he fell from the 3rd floor of the Harrington estate and died on the spot, saying before he died that he wanted to remain faithful to me. I was very calm. Later, I resigned from my position as CEO of Meridian Group and traveled the world, with Alex Peterson accompanying me. I had my secretary handle my company duties. Alex Peterson and we just stayed together like that, no one explicitly defining our relationship.